This video is a step-by-step guide for the use of the Classification of Diabetes Self-Audit Toolkit. Before proceeding to the video on how to run the audit, some background information is provided. What is this toolkit? This toolkit assists primary care users to perform population searches through patients registered in their practices. It targets to detect miscoding, misclassification, and misdiagnosis of diabetes in primary care, also known as the 3M algorithm. The toolkit consists of HQL queries to search for patients in MyQuest and an Excel analysis spreadsheet to analyze the outcomes of the search. What does 3M stand for? The 3M algorithm is built on misdiagnosis, miscoding, and misclassification of diabetes in primary care. Misdiagnosis is the allocation of an incorrect diagnosis, diagnosing diabetes in someone who does not have the condition. Miscoding occurs when the wrong code is applied, generally the use of a non-specific code which does not allow the type of diabetes to be precisely determined. Misclassification is defined as when the patient is incorrectly classified into a category to which they do not belong. HQL and queries. Health query language is a tailored version of generic SQL to be used in primary care data. They are run on MyQuest software on both Patients table, which holds demographic data, and Journals table, which holds clinical data. This software is embedded in GP clinical systems used in the UK. Each query can be built to search for a wide selection of demographic and clinical attributes out of those tables as required. In order for MyQuest to recognize the query, a set of header items are also included in the query as its unique identifier. Finally, HQL queries use read codes. Read codes. Read codes currently have two versions, version 2 and version 3. Version 2 is the default coding system that is used in various systems such as EMIS Web and INPS Vision. Version 3 is a comprehensive coding system which is built on the structure of version 2. The only difference is that it has a polyhierarchical level compared to its predecessor. Here is an example of an HQL. The lines with an asterisk are the headers that define the query to MyQuest on which it will be run. The following lines thereafter define the data planned to be extracted along with the constraints if needed. HQLs used in the toolkit. Within System 1, there is an additional search set as an exception as it is required by the system itself, but in general there are 8 search sets in total. The first search set produces a temporary subset of all patients in the practice who are coded as having type 1 diabetes mellitus. The second search file produces a temporary subset of all patients in the practice who are coded as having type 2 diabetes mellitus. The third search set intends to find people who are miscoded as type 1 diabetic. It locates those people who are not on insulin and people who have not received an insulin prescription for over 6 months. The logic in this is that everyone with type 1 diabetes should be prescribed insulin. People with type 1 diabetes require insulin for survival. The fourth search set also intends to find people who are miscoded as type 1 diabetic. It locates those people on insulin and an oral anti-diabetic medicine. The logic in this is that people with type 1 diabetes should not concurrently be prescribed oral anti-diabetic medicine and insulin. The fifth search set intends to find those people miscoded as type 1 diabetic. It locates those people who were started on an oral anti-diabetic medicine before insulin. The logic in this is that people with type 1 diabetes will have started insulin within 6 months of diagnosis. The sixth search set intends to find those people who are miscoded as type 2 diabetic. It locates those people who have required insulin from within 6 months of diagnosis. The logic in this is that patients with type 1 diabetes will have continuous therapy with insulin. The seventh search set also intends to find those people miscoded as type 2 diabetic. It locates those people whose maximum value in the various diabetic tests fall within the normal range, but they are still coded as type 2 diabetic. The final search set intends to find those people who are miscoded with a vague diabetic code. The logic in this is that some people with diabetes are miscoded with vague codes which imply diabetes but do not list the type. Here is a video to illustrate how to run the Audit Toolkit on INPS Vision. Welcome to the user guide for classification of diabetes, a search tool for identifying miscoded, misclassified or misdiagnosed patients for use with INPS Vision. It is suggested that you download the zip file to your desktop as shown below. Double-click on this file, select Extract All Files. The Extraction Wizard window will now open. Select Next. Select Browse. Navigate to the O drive and press OK. Now select Next and then Finish. Now that you have done this, you will need to open the unpacked folder, which should look like this. Select the search set file. There will be 8 queries within this. Open each of the search files using Notepad. You will need to change the date to the date upon which you conduct the extraction. Each of the 8 search files also contain a header statement to identify the practice by its national organisation code. You will need to change these to match your unique practice code. Once you have done this, save the file and do the same for the remaining queries. You'll now need to log on to the INPS Vision system with a user account that has sufficient privileges with access to MyQuest module. Now select Reporting from the main menu. Then select MyQuest. This will open the MyQuest Respondent File Manager window. Ensure that you have the tab labelled Import active. Use the drop-down list on the left of the screen to select the search set from your saved directory pathway. Once you have located your files, highlight all of the queries. Now select Import. A prompt will then appear telling you that the 8 queries have been imported. Press OK. Now select the Queries tab. Here you should be able to see the search files which you have just imported. You will need to select your search set by selecting the Query Set button. Right-hand click to authorize the queries. Now under the drop-down menu, under Status, select Query Queue. Then right-click over one of the files in the main window and from the menu box that appears, select Run Now. The search set will now begin execution. Once complete, the following dialog box will appear. Select the tab labelled Responses. Using the drop-down menu, select the query set under Site, Local, and Status, Send List. Right-hand click on one of the files and select Send. You are now ready to export the query responses. Navigate to your directory pathway. You should then save the responses under the folder named Diabetes Spreadsheet. You are now ready to import the data onto Excel using the Analysis spreadsheet.